you are a B2B service-based business owner and you are looking to gain more clients, create more impact and more revenue in your business, tune in to Amplify Your Marketing Message with Christine Campbell Rapin. Every week, we're going to take you through how to build an audience of buyers, mastering your marketing message, and making offers. Welcome back, everybody, to Amplify Your Marketing Message. There has been a refrain I've heard an awful lot of since we started this year. And it was, I am really busy. I am effective at booking one-to-one meetings, but they don't seem to go anywhere. So if that's you, this is your episode. Make sure you share it, save it, and come back to it, because this is not a reflection of the marketplace's buying behavior. It's a reflection of how you're leading, who you're talking to, and whether you are in fact in the right room. This is Amplify Your Marketing Message. I'm your host, Christine Campbell Rapin. I am a business strategist who helps people like you figure out how to find more consistently the right clients who are willing to say yes today. And when I hear this comment, I'm in lots of one-to-one meetings, but they're not going anywhere. I have one simple truth. There is a gigantic elephant in the room. My friends, you're not talking to buyers. And what's really important if you want to create stability consistently and predictability with your client activity, your acquisition of new business, it's imperative that you are looking for people who are ready to implement, not just those who are looking to consume knowledge. And so if this is a bit of a, wow, I hadn't thought of it that way, hang with me, because I want to ask you if you have intentionally built a business that supports consistent client. If you want steady income and sustainable growth, how do you actually get there? Because I think it's time to go back to basics. So the first thing I want you to remember, and if you're new to our show, you may not have heard this in a few episodes, but buyers are decision makers. So you're looking somebody who is already decided they want to implement a pathway for one sole purpose, a better lived experience, whatever that looks like for them. Someone who is simply consuming knowledge is in the deciding phase. They're exploring, and yes, we want to support them. But if we try to convince, we try to educate, truthfully, that is a very long pathway to cash, which is why I'm seeing so many peers be on oxygen because they're not creating commercial success. You're in the wrong room talking to the wrong people, and we just need to call that elephant out. But if you know that a buyer is a decision maker, what you're looking to ascertain is whether they have three things happening. Do they know they have a problem? And you need to be very clear that it is important you put on the lens of what do they perceive. And I mean they as the buyer. So many people I have talked to coming out of our big signature event called Turn On Your Client Waterfall have said to me, but I know they have a problem and I know that this is the issue and I know that's going on. And I said, you are not going to win clients with your own intelligence. What matters is the problem they perceive. Because they're only going to be self-motivated to fix something in their own intent, in their own benefit. And they do not want to be judged, shamed, or criticized from you with your intellect. So watch out, because it's a fast way to kill momentum. So they know they have a problem, and you need to get crystal clear. What's that problem? What's the problem they perceive? What's the gap in the lived experience that they seek? You have to be able to spot that pattern, empathize with that pattern, and be comfortable in that grenade moment. Life isn't rosy. Something needs to be done. I've stood on this line probably more than once, and I have to make a decision to disrupt and to go beyond theory, to go to decided to fix it. So they have a plan and a problem. Now you want to encourage them to say, well, what's going on? What have you tried? Have you started to explore? What else have you looked at? What have you considered? What has come before? And you want to be curious in that moment. Again, zero judgment, zero criticism. Just explore with them and then ask them, and so why are we here? So if you've tried all these things, and that could be everything from hiring somebody, taking programs, courses, learning from free resources, and any number of plethora of activities, there's still dissonance, a gap between what we want as a lived experience that has to be just incrementally better for it to be worthwhile to us and where we are right now. And you need to understand that gap. What's the size of that gap? What does it look, feel, and experience of it feel like? And you need to say, be curious. If I could solve that and I could make it incrementally better, would we be having a further conversation? And if you don't get permission there, shut up. Black and white, my friends, because it's not relevant to vomit an offer. And I see it. People that are spending all this time in one-to-one say, well, do you want me to send you information? And you're chasing a non-buyer. This is even worse if you have hired an outbound lead gen activity or company that's going to do that, because they're going to take people who have an industry but not a known problem, and they're going to vomit your stuff at them, and it will burn your relationships and burn your reputation and tar you in a way that can be irrecoverable. So I know I have a problem and I know I have a gap, and I'm being stirred and invited to consider fresh alternatives, or even an alternative I revisited now. But the third thing before we make an offer is we need to know that they are committed to the path. What's the urgency and what's the benefit? And you cannot control this, although you can influence it. And so you need to be prepared. Don't give proposals before someone has said, I want to fix it soon. And I mean soon, typically 30 to 90 days. That's where momentum is the hottest. And if you're not in that window, just invite a future conversation and book it in the calendar. So if you're in that place right now, we need to just be crystal clear. What's a buyer? And do they have these three things going on? But if you want to then move buyers and you want to build your own support in your business, that means consistent client growth, steady income, sustainable growth. This connection to buyers doesn't happen miraculously. I'm sorry, it doesn't. Don't believe the sizzle, and don't believe that you can circumvent foundations. Because if you want to tap into somebody who's a motivated buyer who's ready to implement, they've tried the sizzle already and not seen the success they wanted. And so we have to have foundations. And if you're thinking, I don't have time for foundations, or I'm tapped out financially to build the foundations, I want to DIY it myself, stop it. You're saying this truth, I can't afford to fix the biggest problem that opens the window, door, avalanche, and waterfall of exactly the lived experience you want. Stability, writing your own paycheck, and sustainable growth beyond a season. So how do we do this? Guys, it's elegantly simple. It is not effortless. So let's just be clear. You have to decide it's worth it. Worth it to say, I'm going to be uncomfortable in the pursuit of my lived outcome. Just like your buyer has the same experience. So the first thing I will say is you need to have a bit of a plan. Most of you do not have a plan for clients. You have a plan for your logo. You have a plan for your website. You have a plan for some kind of content. But none of this is a plan of what's the buyer, what do they need, what will interact with them that stirs their curiosity. And so I want to say this because it's the mistake I see people spend typically $50,000 to $100,000 on, is they build systems and they do advanced strategies before there's even clarity. So the first thing we want to start with is clarity. Who's the buyer? What do they want? What interests them? What have they tried? And what will get them to move? Second piece is that I want you to build systems once you start having more conversations that support the work of moving somebody, tracking somebody, and inviting somebody from I'm curious to wow, I need that, here's my credit card. And so we do need to have connecting dots. I don't think they need to be complicated, just so we're clear. When we teach clients in our entry program, Momentum to Millions, we start with a dashboard. I had built these in Excel. I'm a bit old school. I like Excel. I like Microsoft product. I'm familiar with it. I came from the corporate world. But I had something amazing today, a suggestion from a current client in that program. He said, I don't love Excel, so I talked to my favorite AI, and I said, based on Christine's transcript of our call, please build me a dashboard that I could use every single day. And he said this, it's wild, Christine. The fact that I know what to do, I have a plan, I'm executing it, is creating all kinds of opportunities and actual results. And he's like, I know that this was what I wanted, but the experience of it is super impressive. And I'm like, and he showed us how simple he could use the foundations and the tech to build a system that worked to his strengths. And he said, if I keep it on my dashboard and I really focus on it, guess what? I get more effective outcomes. So the third thing you've got to think about once you have a plan and you understand that marketing, sales, and systems are non-negotiable, and you understand how they connect, or you hire people like us, specifically us, to help you build those connecting dots, the third thing you need to do is have launch. And what I mean by is intentional activity to support your marketing and your sales. Two things predict your revenue: how many people you meet that are qualified to be buyers in the future for you, and how many offers you're making. And there's a lot of different types of offers, from stirring curiosity to this is the investment. The more offers, the more practiced, the bolder you're asked, the more you'll win. And the more you'll win for your clients. And that's what we're in service of. But nothing happens without a plan, structure, and intention around this. So the fourth piece that's really important is to understand scaling. A lot of people, I hear that word and go, well, what the heck is scaling? Well, let's just be frank. Scaling means different things to different people, but I look at it in this lens: repeatability. The repeatability to have more than one client create the same result, more than one marketing that creates momentum, more than one sales process that leads to predictable yes outcomes. But you need to think about the architecture to create repeatability. And I want that architecture to be built with a human in mind. There's incredible fast-moving technology now that, yes, we will be leveraging, and you should be leveraging. But if you put tech before thinking, you will scale chaos. And I see it every day. You've built something you don't understand, so when it breaks, you can't fix it. You have to first be the thinker and then have an automated tech bot partner, whatever you want to choose in that pathway, support translating it. But I see it time and time again. You have the cart before the horse. Tech doesn't solve the problem of a lack of foundations. Foundations first, structure, systems, and repeatability come second. So this is my invitation. I want you to not have a million one-to-ones that go nowhere. I don't want you in rooms hour after hour in front of people who are curious about you as a human, but not curious about you for your services. I don't want you to mistake interest and curiosity for somebody who's ready to implement. And I want you to shift to effectiveness, not noise, because busy work is not enough. If you want to be intentional about building a structure that leads to consistent clients, steady income, and sustainable growth, then you need to architect it. And if you're thinking, I get it, this conceptually makes sense to me, but you don't know how to start, just listen to that refrain for a second. I don't know how to start. So saying to yourself, I'm not prepared to invest because I am not ready yet to build this is crazy. And a missed opportunity, truthfully. And there are systems and structures we can offer you. Simply go to ChristineCampbellRapin.com and go look at ways we work. Be curious and have a conversation. But you cannot fix a lack of foundations with tools. You cannot skip the pieces of the foundations of planning, building, launching, and scaling. And tech that drives a result works really well when you have the foundations in place. So my friends, this is the invitation to choose. Choose the game you're playing. People often say I have a bit of a frictional opinion on this, but I said, I want a beautiful, boring business. I know that you've been taught to love the sizzle. If you want to sparkle and you want to do content creation and you want to do all the bells and whistles, that's a choice. And there's a great time to leverage it. It's not from day one. It's not typically within the first 3 years. Can you do stuff? Yes. You will want to focus on being more effective. And only when you have the foundations does it make sense for me, in my opinion, to spend a significant amount of money with this. Your best money spent is on foundations. Who are you looking for? What do they want? How will you invite them? How can you communicate with evidence that you are trustworthy, capable, and credible? How do you see yourself as the must hire? And when you can do that, it unlocks the beautiful, boring bit of business. High quality leads coming to you at the volume in which you're active. More offers, more yeses, more dream clients, and a life that you want. This isn't hyperbole. This isn't theory. We do it every single day for our clients. We've just shown you how to do it here on Amplify Your Marketing Message. Support. That's one phone call, one email, one message away. Come find us. ChristineCampbellRapin.com and be back here next week for another great episode on actually finding more clients predictably for your business. We'll see you there. That's a wrap on another amazing episode of Amplify Your Marketing Message with me, your host, Christine Campbell Rapin. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so you don't miss another great episode. And be sure to visit ChristineCampbellRapin.com/podcast to get a free resource on how to master your marketing